Kelly. I was diagnosed with aortic valve stenosis, and I am scheduled to have the Ross procedure on November 21st at Mount Sinai in New York. I'm 53 years old, and the reason I wanted to record this YouTube video is just because it's the first thing that I did as soon as I found out that I had aortic valve stenosis. I went online, I Googled it, of course, and you find a lot of scary information. But one of the helpful things that I found were these YouTube videos of people that had gotten past their surgeries and were living and back to work and driving and back to normal. So that was really helpful to see. Just like many other people that I've read about since I've been diagnosed, I found out the same way as many other people. At first, in my 30s or so, they said, "Has anyone ever told you you have a heart murmur?" And then they took another step and they said, and we think it's a little bit more than a heart murmur, and let's get that checked. And I did a transesophageal echocardiogram probably in my early 40s, and I honestly don't remember the entire conversation except that I needed to monitor myself once a year with a stress test and an EKG. And so that's where I took it. It didn't seem alarming. It didn't seem like anyone was worried. So quite honestly, I didn't go to the doctor for a long time. About 5 years ago, I went back to my doctor and I had a physical, and then I saw a cardiologist after that to look at my heart murmur or whatever was going on at the time. And that's when I was diagnosed with aortic valve stenosis. They said, again, my doctor did not seem alarmed at all and just said, you know, we're going to have to check this. It's not severe. Someday you're going to need surgery. Someday, maybe by the time you're 55 or so, you're going to have surgery to replace your aortic valve. And he said, just come back to me next year and we're going to get another EKG and we're going to do a stress test every year. I'm 53 now. I didn't quite make it to 55. I'm scheduled on November 21st. I have some pulmonary hypertension. It's ranged from moderate to severe, and I have some regurgitation along with the aortic valve. I am considered asymptomatic. I am still active and healthy, except you'll notice that I have a hard time catching my breath sometimes. A couple doctors have even blown that off, saying it's anxiety, but I'm not anxious. I'm not a person that really has anxiety. It really feels like it's a problem breathing, so I'll go with my gut and just say that it has something to do with the fact that my heart is working too hard. I'm not anxious. I'm dying to get it over with, actually. Dying's probably the wrong word. I want to get it over with. I'm looking forward to life on the other side of just having it done. So the Ross procedure, for those of you that don't know, you have a lot of choices when you find out you have aortic valve stenosis and it's in severe range, and now it's time for you to go get your surgery. They'll talk to you about open heart surgery versus the TAVR. The TAVR meaning that they're going to use a catheter to go through your leg to replace your valve. That was not an option for me because I am 53 and I'm still active, and the valves just won't last as long. So I couldn't do it through catheter procedure. I'm going with open heart. So the full zipper is what some people say, the full zipper. And then I have the decision between the valves. So the mechanical valve, which should last forever, or at least up to 20 years, didn't seem to be an option for either of any of the cardiologists that I've spoken to for whatever reason. I'm not a great medicine taker. I'm really active, and I have a really full life. I forget to take medications, so that really isn't something that I wanted to do, was worry about the anticoagulants for the rest of my life. And then there's the PIG valve, but of course, you know, at 53, it's dependent. You don't know how long those valves are going to last. They could last 7 years, 10 years, some say up to 15 years. And we were doing the math on where that would land me for the next surgery, and then the next surgery would have been a TAVR, which would have been a little bit easier, but still a replacement. And then the next surgery after that, would have been another full open heart surgery if I went with the PIG valve. The one that I've chosen is the Ross procedure. I'm doing it out of Mount Sinai with Dr. Paul Stelzer. He is one of the best in the world, but I've read about others in England and in other places of the world, in Cleveland, that do this procedure. Basically, they're going to take my pulmonary valve and give that to my aortic valve. And And so because they're giving my aortic valve my own tissue, it should be able to adapt easier, and it should last a lot longer, hopefully lifelong. Hopefully, there's no 100% in anything. And then for the pulmonary valve, they're going to give me a donor valve. So again, there's a chance of that failing, but from what I hear, the pulmonary valve is not as crucial as the aortic valve. So the aortic valve, having my own tissue, should benefit me for a much longer, healthier prognosis. I'm just at this point, so yes, it's a little bit trickier in the fact that you have two valves that you're having an operation on instead of one, and that the operation itself is a little bit more intricate, and I'll be on the table for longer than just one valve, obviously. But I am 53, I'm healthy, there's not a single other thing wrong with me. I have a positive attitude, I have the best surgeon in the world. I really think that I'm going to be okay with this. I do want to come back to these YouTube videos and create another one right after I do my post-op, my pre-op. I'm doing my pre-op next week, and then one or two after that, just to let you all know what the recovery is like, because like I said, I found two Facebook support groups, one for aortic valve replacement and one for the Ross procedure. Both of them have been extremely helpful as far as how do I get ready for this surgery, and what does the other side look like. I've seen people ask on there things like, can I drive myself home from the hospital? And so I'm curious about, things like that, because to me, I've done so much homework. I know that I will not be driving for 4 to 6 weeks. I know that I went and bought myself a power recliner because I know I won't be able to sleep laying down. I know that I won't be at work, so I'm going to be taking a leave for 6 weeks. And thankfully, I'm not going in as an emergency, so I can time this all out and do it on my own terms. And thankfully, I am not so symptomatic right now, except for some breathing issues that, I can't live right up until the very, very, very last day. I'll be working until the day before my surgery, and I'm on vacation right now for a couple of days with my kids, and life is good, and looking forward to the next step. But I hope this video is helpful for some of you. I think that when you think of heart disease, or you think of valve replacements, you think of somebody in their 70s or 80s, and you don't always remember that there are babies having these procedures, there are people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and then my age, of course, having these procedures. It's not just for older people, and that there's life after it. Good luck with your situation.